Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new episode. Today I'm joined by professional goalkeeper Conor O'Keefe. Thank you for joining me today.
No problem. Thank you for having me on.
So let's go back to the start and how you got into goalkeeping and when did that love first start for you?
It started quite early for me. I was quite fortunate that I have a younger brother who's a similar age to me. And when we were growing up, he enjoyed shooting and playing up front, and I enjoyed diving around in the mud and making saves. So a lot of hours when I was a kid was spent in the garden with my brother, just having shots at me and me trying to make saves. And I think that's where I first found the love of goalkeeping, just enjoying diving around, getting muddy and making saves, really.
Yeah. So when did you want to kind of pursue it further? What age were you when you said, oh, actually, I might want to give this a bit more of a go and pursue it?
Yeah, it's quite a strange one for me, really, because I think I wasn't really one of these kids that when I was a child, I didn't say I'm going to be a footballer and that's what I wanted to be. I always loved playing football. I always loved watching football. I was a big fan of football. And I played for kind of academies and local teams, and I always enjoyed it. And I think I'm from a town called Macclesfield in the northwest of England, and I joined their centre of excellence when I was, I think, 11 or 12. And kind of as each year went by and it got to the stage where people would be let go or kept on, and I was always kept on. And I think when I was 16, I was offered a youth team scholarship to kind of go full time with the club. And it was only really then that I thought, oh, okay, I must be all right at it, and I must have the opportunity to continue to do it. So it was only really then that I thought, okay, let's see how far I can go with it. So I suppose it was quite a late decision, really, that it was something that I wanted to do and to be. And yeah, I think as the opportunities came, I just ran with it, really.
Yeah, so you were at Macclesfield. But did you do anything before that? Were you at Crewe for a year or so?
Yeah, so I was at Crewe when I was under 10s. So that was kind of my first experience of what I'd say was probably upper level football, academy football. Before that, I'd only played really kind of Sunday league games or in goal for kind of like little weekend academies and things like that. So when I went to Crewe, that was probably the first time that I realised how serious it was to be in a full academy and a proper elite academy. And in all honesty, I didn't really enjoy it at that age. When I was under 10s, I found it a little bit too full on in terms of kind of the amount of training that I had to do, the amount of scrutiny I was under with the games. We would play teams like Man United, Man City, Liverpool on the weekends, and in all honesty, I didn't really enjoy it. So I think at that point, I went back to playing Sunday league football for a little bit just to kind of find my love of playing again. And I think it was probably a little bit too early for me to have that amount of pressure and scrutiny that comes with a big academy. And it was only as I got older that I kind of learned how to deal with that and manage that and still enjoy playing.
Yeah, I think 10 is quite a young age, isn't it? To really, at that age, you just want to be playing with your mates, having fun. And yeah, I totally understand that it was just quite a lot to get your head around at a young age. Yeah,
exactly. So, and I think at 10, it's like you say. I think academies are better at it now in the kind of this day and age where they do realise it is about having fun and loving the sport. Because if you're going to be a footballer, you have a lot of time to learn to deal with pressure and to deal with that, which is part of the game. But when you're young, it's about having that love and enjoyment of it.
Yeah, definitely. So you were at Macclesfield. Did you get a contract at Macclesfield while you were there?
Yeah, so I was offered a youth team scholarship when I was 16. And normally what happens then is you leave school and you go full time with the club and you play full time and you do a study kind of, it was a BTEC at that point, a sports science BTEC. And that's something that I wasn't really that interested in because I still enjoyed school. I enjoyed studying, I enjoyed different subjects. So I was very fortunate kind of that I came to an agreement with the club and with my school that I could continue at the school doing my A levels, but also train and play as a youth team player at Macclesfield. So I could do the two, which I was very lucky to do. And then once I finished my A levels and I'd finished studying, I then went full time for a year at Macclesfield with the first team, and I was a third choice goalkeeper, really. So the young lad that kind of watches and learns as much as possible. I had a few loan moves and things like that, but never actually played in the league for the first team. But it was very valuable to be in and around the first team and to learn what it's like to be a full-time player.
So from there, you went to Loughborough University, which is really well known from its sporting history, got so many people coming out of there for a lot of sport. So how was that, being at a really great facility?
Yeah, it was amazing. And it was initially something that I never really wanted to do. When I finished my A levels, kind of in my head, that was when I was like, right, I'm all in on football now. I just want to play football. I want to be at a football club. I don't want to study anymore. And because I'd done my A levels, I'd been through like the UCAS process of applying for universities, but I did it half-heartedly, really. I never really expected to go. But I'd had an offer from Loughborough. And when I got the chance to go full-time at Macclesfield, my parents kind of encouraged me to just defer it for a year, which is what I did. And then after a year at Macclesfield where I wasn't really playing, I kind of looked at the two goalkeepers that were ahead of me, and I think one of them was 27, one of them was 24, and I was 19. And I looked at it, and having been to an open day at Loughborough, I realised that actually I could be in an environment which was very elite for sport and get a degree and finish that process and still be younger than those two lads that were ahead of me in the first team, rather than spending 2 or 3 years kind of sitting on the bench, loan moves, not really playing. So I decided to go to Loughborough and have another go almost at combining academics with sport. And like you say, it's probably one of the best places in the country to be able to do that, with the facilities that it has and the programs that it has. And the football program was the same. It was almost like being at a professional club. We had strength and conditioning coaches, we had physios, nutritionists, sports psychologists, we had coaches. It was an amazing facility and an amazing program. So it was a really good stage for me as a young goalkeeper to play lots of games in non-league, because Loughborough played non-league as well as university games. So I played loads of games. I was training loads. I got physically kind of developed with the S&C that was there. And at the same time, continued to study because I was doing an international business degree at the same time.
So you got a chance to go to Spain and try and find a team out there. When did you try and make that decision that you wanted to go abroad, and how much did it take to try and get, to play for a team out there?
It was funny because my degree program was a 4-year course, and in the third year you could either have a work placement where you were working full time, or you could do a study abroad year. And at this point, I think I was very much in the mentality of I realized how amazing it is to be a full-time footballer as a job. I'd had that kind of taste of it at Macclesfield, and it was something that I wanted to go back to after finishing my degree. So I looked at it and I thought, well, if I'm going to be in a working placement full-time, it's going to be difficult for me to continue to train and to play and to develop my football. So I decided to do the study abroad option, and I thought that might be a really good way that I could study abroad, but also try and find a club and see what it's like to play overseas. So I saw that Loughborough had a link with a university in Madrid. I'd always loved watching Spanish football. It was something that I always enjoyed watching. So I thought it might be a really cool chance to go and play abroad. So I didn't have any contacts there. I didn't have an agent. I couldn't speak Spanish. I didn't know any Spanish clubs. So I kind of had a bit of an intense few weeks over the summer where I created a kind of an Excel spreadsheet of teams that were close to the university that I was going to be studying in, all the way from like the first team clubs all the way down to kind of 6th, 7th tier clubs, and contacted them all, sent them letters, sent them emails, rang them, just to try and get an opportunity to go in on trial maybe. I ended up flying out there with my girlfriend who could speak Spanish, fortunately, and we kind of hired a car and drove around all these different clubs and just kind of knocked on doors and asked for an opportunity. And we had a lot of no's and we had a lot of people not even replying, but in the end I managed to get a pre-season training opportunity with a club called Rayo Vallecano, who are in La Liga at the moment. So I did pre-season with them, and after a few weeks of pre-season I got the opportunity to join a club called Fuenlabrada, who were in the 3rd division at that point. So again, a little bit of a strange route, as kind of seemed to be the pattern with my career, but something that was a really cool opportunity and a great chance to learn a different style of football.
Yeah, I mean, I love that. I love that you went out and you posted envelopes of people, and I love the determination because you just wanted to get an opportunity. And yeah, I'm really happy that it worked out for you.
No, thank you. And I think it's the same with any career. I think when you're starting out, you kind of, no one really gives you the chance. No one's going to give it you on a plate, and you kind of have to almost be a bit like, well, how much do I want to do it? And then you have to try and think outside the box and try and find different ways that you can get a chance. And then once you get your foot in the door, then you can start to show what you can do. So it's the same for anyone really, but it was something that I was fortunate that I had the help of my family and my girlfriend with it, but it was quite a fun few weeks, that's for sure.
Didn't your team get drawn against Real Madrid in the cup? How was that? How was that as an experience? Just like being there, playing.
Amazing, yeah, amazing. And when I look back on it, it seems like it didn't at the time, but when I look back, I realized how such a short period of time. So in the July, I was driving around all these different teams, trying to find an opportunity, and then fast forward 4 months later in November, I was with a squad that was going to the Bernabeu to face Real Madrid in the Copa del Rey, which was incredible. So we were training in the morning, and then we went into the press room to watch the draw for the competition, and there was loads of cameras there and journalists and waiting for our reaction, because we knew that we were probably going to get a bigger team given how the draw is structured in Spain. And yeah, we ended up drawing Real Madrid. So we played them at home, we played them away. I didn't play, unfortunately, but I was part of the squad, and I went to the Bernabeu and kind of met Gareth Bale and Zidane and Keylor Navas and all these people that you see on the telly. And then you realize, wow, like I'm actually in that place, and you realize kind of it's not as far away as you think it is. So that was a really good kind of shot in the arm of motivation for me, that I was on the right path, that I was getting to where I wanted to go. So it was a brilliant experience.
Yeah, just being there must have been just a great moment. Yeah. So from then on, you had some trials in Sweden. Tell us, what was that like, trying to get a team? Yeah,
so it was kind of, as my year in Spain was coming to an end, it was a weird situation, because I'd really enjoyed it. It was I'd had, like you say, some really interesting experiences. I felt like I'd improved as a player, but then I also had to kind of remember that I still had one more year of university to go. I'd done 3 years. I was really close to finishing my degree. It would have felt to me wrong to not finish that, having been so close to it. So I went back to Loughborough for that final year, played for the Loughborough team again, finished my degree. And during that year, I was trying to find where I might continue my football after I finished my degree. So obviously I had a few more kind of contacts in Spain. I was seeing if there was any chance to play back there again. As you say, I went to Sweden. I was invited for a trial with a club in Stockholm, where I went for a few days and had a trial there, which was really good and really interesting to see what Swedish football was like, because I'd not seen it before. And then by the end of the year, it turned out that the main opportunity that I had to go and play was in Gibraltar.
Yeah, there's a team called Europa Point SC. Yeah. So what was that like playing in Gibraltar?
Really interesting. It's it's a very interesting league. So for people that don't know, Gibraltar is a tiny place right on the southern tip of Spain, and it's a foreign territory of the UK. So it isn't technically part of Spain, and it's kind of not technically part of the UK. It's a foreign territory. So in that league, there are 12 teams. There were 12 teams when I was there. There's only one stadium, there's only one pitch where all those teams play because it's such a small place. I think there's only 40,000 people in Gibraltar. It's tiny. But because it's the top league, as it were, in that country, the teams that finish in the top three have the opportunity to play in the Champions League or the Europa League qualifiers. So I was approached by Europa Point, as you said, and they offered me the chance to go there, and I kind of looked at it as, well, 3 out of 12 teams get the chance to play in Europe, so that's pretty good odds, really. So I kind of thought that it might be a cool place to go and try. So I went there. It was a really interesting experience. We struggled a little bit as a team. We didn't quite get where we wanted to go with it. But the experience, I lived in Spain, kind of traveled into Gibraltar for the games, and to see a new part of the world, meet new people, kind of my first real experience of being a number one at a club outside of Loughborough, and yeah, lots of development areas, but it was a really interesting experience.
Yeah, I can imagine it was just really great environment to be in.
Yeah, and it's an amazing place, and for people that haven't been to Gibraltar, it's a very kind of beautiful rock which is in Gibraltar, which is the main view, and the stadium where you play football is, when you're in one of the goals, you're looking across the pitch and you can see the giant rock of Gibraltar behind the goal, and it's really atmospheric, a very kind of beautiful place. But then behind you, you have the airport for Gibraltar. So you could be taking a goal kick and you can have a Boeing 747 taking off behind you, and it's only 50 meters away. So it's quite an amazing place. It's quite a surreal place, really not like anywhere I'd been before, but very cool.
So it was the season, is it, where COVID completely stopped everything, more or less?
Yeah. Exactly.
What was that like? Just everything coming to a standstill?
Yeah, it was strange, and I think it was, I mean, for everyone, whatever you were doing, wherever you were, I'm sure we kind of all remember it. It was those weeks of February, March 2020 when we kind of didn't really know what was going on, and it was all very unusual and something that had never happened to us. And it was the same for us. We were, so I was in Spain, and Spain was earlier to lockdown than the UK. So we were playing football, and we had played a match one weekend, and we were kind of like, well, we'll probably continue the season, but they might stop people coming to watch and things like that. And then in the space of 4 or 5 days, Spain kind of announced a bit of a lockdown, like you weren't allowed. I went out for a run on the first day. I didn't really think anything of it, and a policeman told me to go home or he would fine me. So it was literally, you had to stay indoors. And me and my girlfriend, we were living in quite a small flat. We didn't know if it was going to be a week or 2 weeks or a month or what it was going to be. And we kind of got a message from the club that they were going to initially suspend the league, and they weren't sure when it would start up again. And me and my girlfriend were quite fortunate. We managed to get flights back to the UK before all the flights stopped. And yeah, later on, after a couple of weeks, when we realised kind of how long it would be, the league was cancelled in the end. So we never actually got to finish the season, which was disappointing. But yeah, it was a crazy time for everyone, but it was quite an intense one trying to get home.
Yeah, and in that time, beginning of 2020, this is where I kind of discovered your videos with the home back garden training. At the beginning of 2020, before the pandemic really hit, I was thinking about joining up with a team, and then everything kind of stopped, and obviously I was so disappointed because I just wanted to play. And this is where I found your videos. It just helped me keep motivated for when we could actually all go out and join up with teams again, and me and my sister would play in the back garden, just get that training in, just, you know, because we just all miss just going out and being a part of a team and properly training and everything. And this is where your videos really helped me. And even now when you upload those kind of videos, it really got me motivated. So when we came out of all of it, I could just join up with the team again, which I did. But yeah, that's where I discovered you and your videos.
That's amazing.
You're keeping goals.
I'm really glad that you enjoyed them, and I'm glad that you got something from it, because I remember that time, and I'd been making videos on YouTube for a couple of years before that, and I realized that we were all in such a weird situation that we'd never been in, and especially for people that loved sport and loved being involved in sport, and especially team sports, when you're used to being with other people and playing games and training, whether you were a professional or whether you were amateur, it didn't matter. You were missing out on something that you loved doing. And I kind of saw it as it could have gone either way for people. I feel a lot of people obviously found it really, really difficult. And I tried to use the videos and the channel to say that actually it was a really good chance for us to train in a different way, and to use that time to, as goalkeepers, try and improve different things that maybe we've not been able to do before. So yeah, it's not ideal, but is there a park that you could go to, or a back garden, or have you got a sibling that you can do some training with? And it was very much kind of, again, thinking outside the box and doing something a little bit different, but still using that opportunity to try and to keep getting better.
Yeah, I think you always kept everything so upbeat, and you kept people motivated during that time. I think that's where a lot of people might have found your videos. So for me, it really helped. And going on to the keeping goals, going back to when you started the series and the channel, what made you want to start it from the start, and what made you keep going with it?
Well, first of all, I appreciate the nice words, because it's nice to hear that people get something from it. That's the best part about it. So thank you. But initially I started when I first went to Madrid, when I first went to Spain, because like we said, I was doing all this kind of weird stuff of driving around clubs and writing letters. And I thought, actually, this would be quite an interesting thing for people who have never really thought about playing abroad. I think, obviously, at the very top level, you have a lot of people around you that can help facilitate things like agents and you still want to have the opportunity to play. I thought it was quite a good chance to show people that you could still do it, and you could still create those chances for yourself. So I decided to start making videos just documenting my career and what was happening, and hopefully people could get something from it. And initially, I mean, obviously, when you start anything kind of on YouTube, initially, not very many people were watching. We weren't getting any views, really. I think it was probably just my mum that was watching them. And then from there, we just continued to make these videos, me and my friend Johnny from uni. We continued to document my career, and more goalkeepers kind of came to the channel and started to say that they were getting something from it and finding some value in it. And we were doing, like you say, we would do some tutorials sometimes, or just kind of show what I was doing, what I was learning. And it continued to grow from there. And now it's amazing to see how many people enjoy it and enjoy watching the videos and get something from it. And that's always been the biggest thing, I think for me, to have boys and girls from kind of 60 years old down to 6 years old that get something from it and enjoy watching them. That's always been the best bit about it. And that's really what kind of continues to motivate me to do it.
Yeah, I think it doesn't really matter what level you are. I think the videos help with everyone. I mean, me, I play for my local team, just once a week, but I love watching your videos, and they help keep me going. So
yeah, that's the best bit about it. I think I know it's cliche and people talk about it a lot, but there is a goalkeepers union. I think whatever whatever level you play, whatever age you are, wherever you are in the world, we all have something in common, which other people find so unusual and they don't understand, that it does feel like it feels like a club, it feels like a community. So I think the videos have been great to try and give a place where people can come in and share that feeling and share that enjoyment of playing in goal. And that's one of the things I love the most about it, is feeling a part of that goalkeeping community. And it's great to see other people that do something similar. I mean, when Ben Foster started his videos, for example, like, I know I loved them. I love watching them. And I'm sure so many other goalkeepers did. And it's great when you have podcasts like yourself, and when you have forums, and when you have websites, and just places that we can enjoy and we can share that enjoyment of goalkeeping are really important.
Yeah, like you said, a lot of people think, oh, goalkeepers are mad, or why are you in that position? It's like when I've been at training, they're like, oh, you sure you don't want to go in defence? I say, like, no, I love being in goal. I love it. That's why I'm here.
Exactly. That's the most important thing, because it can be such a difficult position. You can feel very much alone at some points. So to have a community that you can tap into when you need it, for that motivation, for that sense of enjoyment, and that sense of being part of something, I think is really important.
Yeah, I think really helps when you have teammates, when you do a good save, oh, great save, you get that good feeling, don't you, when you've got some nice feedback from it as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So 2020, things started to, open up a little bit, and you got the opportunity to go to Sweden and sign with Piteå, that you're still there now. What was that like to finally get a team out of all the craziness that was going on, but still getting an opportunity?
Yeah, it was like you say, it was a crazy time, and I was kind of desperately looking around trying to find a team anywhere that I could play for. And in the UK, obviously, apart from the Premier League that came back quite early, most of the football was still shut down. And I was looking around the world, really, trying to think who's actually playing. And Sweden was probably one of the few countries that had a slightly different approach to the pandemic. They stayed open for a lot of it, didn't really have any lockdown. And as a result, they kind of continued with their football leagues. So I was speaking to a lot of kind of agents and clubs and trying to see if there was an opportunity to play somewhere in Sweden. I almost didn't really care about the level. I just wanted to go and play again. And I got a call one day saying that there was a club called Piteå who were in the 4th division in Sweden, and they were looking for a goalkeeper. And I was almost like, yeah, sign me up. I didn't even know where they were. I didn't even know what the league was. I was like, yeah, let me go, let me play. And then once I did a bit of research, I realized where they were. And Piteå is quite a small town, and it's right up in the north of Sweden. It's only 2 hours south of the Arctic Circle. Like it's a very far north. And as a result of the pandemic, they were playing in a shortened season. So the league was cut down to half. I think it was only 13 games instead of 26. And they needed a goalkeeper. So I went there with only 11 games left. And it was basically just a kind of 2-3 months of craziness, playing lots of games. And we managed to win the league. So we did really well in those 11 games. We managed to come first and get promoted up to the 3rd division in Sweden. And yeah, thankfully they wanted me to stay. They thought I'd done well. And last year was the first time that we were playing in that 3rd division. And again, we managed to stay up as a newcomer in the league. And it's a really nice place. It's a really good club with really good people. And I've really enjoyed playing here so far. And like you say, I'm still here now and preparing for another season.
Yeah, like what is that like when you first go to Sweden? Obviously, we see on your videos how cold it can be, like minus 17, 20. For us, that's cold. So how was that to kind of get used to the cold? Because it's like you say, we think it's cold here in the UK when you're standing in goal the other night and it was like freezing. But, for you guys, like, how did you adjust to that?
Yeah, it was funny because when I first came, it was the summer. So I came in the summer of 2020, and like you, I thought, right, well, it's still going to be cold because it's so far north. But in the summer, it actually gets quite warm. So I was here from that first part that I was here was, I think, June, July until October, and the weather was good, and it was warm and everything. I was like, oh, this is easy. And then when I came back for the pre-season for the following season, I came in January, and that was kind of the first time that I was like, okay, this is what winter is like in Sweden. So the sun would come up about 10:30 in the morning, 11 a.m. in the morning, and it would go down again at 1 p.m. So you'd have 2 hours of sunlight, and that was about it. And like you say, the temperatures could get to -20, -25, -30, and you can't really be outside at any point in that cold for any amount of time. Obviously, we were training indoors. You couldn't train outside in that, but we were training indoors, and the cold really did stay around probably until March, April when the season began. So it was especially compared to what I'd experienced playing in Madrid, for example, in the summer, where it was 35, 40 degrees in the summer of Madrid, to then having the complete opposite of Sweden. My family still kind of laugh at me that I seem to pick the most extreme weather places to go and play football. But it's a really cool place, and it's really cool to, again, another benefit of playing abroad, see this type of town and be in this place, part of the world. So the cold is still something that I have to kind of mentally prepare for. But once you get used to it, it's not too bad.
Yeah, I can imagine it just being really, really cold, and I'm not good with really, really cold, but they have nice summers though.
You have to keep moving. You have to wear lots of layers, keep moving, and yeah, especially if you're playing outside when it's getting cold, it can be a tough one.
Yeah. So you've had opportunities abroad. Would you say for you, there's been more opportunity, say, abroad to be kind of starting keeper, getting those game time than maybe in the UK, especially at the moment? Would you say there is more opportunities going abroad?
Yeah, there has been for me. I think it's difficult now because of now that like Brexit has come into force. It's much more difficult for British players to play in Europe. So you're no longer seen as a European player, and there's often kind of restrictions on the amount of non-European players that can be in a team, or the amount that you have to be paid as a non-EU resident. All those kind of bureaucratic actions that have come into force have made it more difficult. I'm very fortunate that I'm an Irish citizen as well as a British citizen, so I'm still an EU citizen, so I can still play and work abroad. But it's something that I'm disappointed by, because I've seen how beneficial it can be for players to go abroad to play. Because in the UK when I was younger, I'm not the tallest keeper. That was always something that clubs kind of didn't really think that I could play as a number one, because I was only 6 foot instead of 6'4", 6'5". So that would sometimes kind of minimize the opportunities that I would get. And again, when you're younger as a goalkeeper, managers often say that they are looking for experience. They want people to have experience to play. But then if you never get the chance to play, you never get that experience. So it's a bit of a catch-22. So the way around it for me was to go abroad and to try and find the opportunities to play and to learn and to grow and to get better. And my plan is still to come back and play in the UK again at some point. But the way that I've approached it is to try and build up my career and build up my reputation by playing abroad, and then hopefully come back to play at home again at some point in the future.
Yeah, so you're starting keeper for Piteå, and you played nearly every game last season, which is a great achievement. You've been like a number 2, a number 3. What is the mentality for that when you're not starting? What is your mindset? Obviously in a club, if you've got other goalkeepers, you might not be starting. What was the mentality for you when you're not a starting keeper, but you have to keep motivated, you have to, just keep doing what you've got to do?
Yeah, it's hard. And is one of the hardest parts about being a goalkeeper. And I think depending on the stage of your career, you can approach it different ways. So when I was a number 3, when I was 19, I very much kind of approached it as, I just want to be a sponge. I just want to learn as much as possible and watch the other two, watch how they play, watch how they train, just take on as much as I can, because I know that further down in my career, that's going to help me. As I got a bit older and you kind of are looking and feeling like you want to be a number 1, but you're not, that can be very difficult and it can be quite frustrating. And I think the advice that I normally give to goalkeepers is, number 1, your match day is training, really, as a number 2. The number 1 is obviously making sure that they're ready to perform at the weekend for the game. But as a number 2, your challenge has to be to outperform that number 1 at every single training session, because those are your match days. But then also to try and have a conversation with the coach or the club and say, listen, I want to play. What can I do? What can I get better at? Which is going to give me a chance to play, and try and take on that feedback, because a lot of goalkeepers get quite insular and they just close off and they think, why am I not playing? I'm better than him at this, or better than her at this. I should be playing. But it's not your decision at the end of the day. You need to try and take that feedback on board and learn what you might need to get better at to try and play. And often there might not be anything you can do. You might need to change clubs or need to change where you're playing because you might not get the opportunity. So there's a lot of nuance to it, but in general, try and take on the feedback to learn what you can get better at, and then have the mindset of being, right, I'm going to be the best at training every single day, and I'm going to earn my opportunity. And when I do get my chance to play, I'm going to take it, which is the main thing.
Yeah, definitely. Luckily, I'm starting keeper at the moment. We haven't got too many keepers on board, but
Good.
Happy to be there. Just really enjoying it. I hate it when training's not on for some reason. I just want to play.
Yeah.
I just love it. I just love playing. And you're
and again, when you're number 1 like that, that's something that you need to really value. You need to say, if I'm playing at the minute, then I need to keep that place and I need to keep getting better, and I can keep playing and not to take it for granted. Because like you say, it's when you are the number 1 and you are playing games, that's the great opportunity that we're always working for. So you want to keep it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, your distribution videos are really helping me. I always go back and rewatch them. And when I've done a good goal kick or something, I just feel really good. Like the other day in training, I did one and our forward, chested it down and ended up scoring. I ended up getting an assist. So I just I feel like I progressed a lot. I signed with a new team at the end of the summer, and I'm really enjoying it at the moment. Got a good bunch of girls there, and we haven't had much games this season to do with COVID and everything. And we've got more teams. I'm on the west coast of Wales here, and we've got more teams coming up, which is actually really great. But we're hoping to get some more.
That's really good to hear. I'm really glad. Like you say, it's such a difficult time when you're not getting the games in. If you can still feel like you can see that you're getting better and you're improving, and that.
It's great to see that we are getting more teams coming out, and hopefully we get some more game time really soon. But it has been difficult, especially for us amateur teams, that some teams have folded unfortunately due to circumstances. So it's good that more teams are coming, especially more girls and women's teams. So because that has been a bit of an issue over the years, trying to get the women's teams going, and we are getting more teams. So
that's something that I've seen in Sweden. Actually, they have a really good setup with women's football. So for example, the Piteå women's team play in the top league in Sweden, and a couple of years ago they won the league. They were in the Champions League. So the women's game in Piteå is something that I've looked at and gone, they're doing a really good job at it. And obviously with first team as an adult, but filtering down into youth teams and academy teams. And I'm sure you'd be able to tell me more about the UK scene, but it does seem like it's getting better at the top end. But I would hope that people are still trying to work hard at making sure that there's the opportunities for younger girls when they're still kids to be playing in those women's teams, to see a progression into adult football, whether that's full-time, part-time, amateur, but having the opportunity to do it. Because having seen in Sweden a really good model, that's something that I would hope that they're still working on to try and bring that into the UK game.
Yeah, definitely. I follow the women's game in the UK quite a lot, and to see the progression here in the last 5 years or so has been, brilliant. A number of people going to games, and WSL being such a big thing now on the TV as well. Things are moving quite a lot, and like say, teams in Sweden as well. You hear about them quite a lot, even in the UK press. Have a lot of successful teams. They've had managers come from the Swedish leagues for the women that even join the WSL. So it does get well documented. We've got a lot of Swedish internationals as well playing for UK teams. So Sweden do have a lot of good women internationals as well. So they've they've got a very high level of football, like you said. They are doing very well. So
yeah, no, I've really enjoyed watching it, and I've enjoyed seeing how they do it. And I'm glad, like you say, that it seems like the UK is on that same path, which is really, really good.
Yeah, for my team especially, at the girls level, the younger girls level, they're always packed. Like they train just before us, and they're all coming out, and our coach is like, wow, we've got like 30 kids today. So it is attracting more and more people, and there's a big difference from when I was really young. Not a lot of girls really were playing football when I was growing up. There wasn't a lot of options. So where I lived when I was young, there wasn't what I call that many teams. No. And even if you wanted to join the boys team, sometimes clubs weren't okay with that. I know some girls have had that chance. But it's not really until I've got older I've seen the progression, more teams to join. And it's great because things have moved on a lot. I mean, yes, they've got more to go, but I've seen the progression, and it's great to see, women getting more opportunities.
Yeah, 100%. I completely agree, because it was the same when I was younger. You would see the girls that wanted to play and that would join in with our teams, and it was just the fact that, like you say, there was due to the circumstance, there were so few people that you couldn't continue to do that in the academy setup, the youth setup, which is so important to then lead into the senior team. So the fact that is getting better, and like you say, you have so many at your club that are coming as kids, that's the best thing, because then that will then lead into the senior game after a few years.
Yeah, I feel like when I was younger, especially me and my sister, we're twins, so we'd always be fighting. We're always fighting for women's football, girls' football. In primary school, it was a big issue, and we never really played, PE lessons, structured lesson, football wasn't in that. It was always netball or hockey. And the boys would go off in the field and play football, and the teacher would go to the playground, and be another week of netball. And, I just really wanted to play football, been football mad since I was really small. And I remember one day, me and my sister, we went off and played with the boys while all the girls went over to play netball, just to make a stand, just to say, look, we play football. And I mean, we were actually with the boys for like half an hour before the teacher noticed, and we got a bit of a telling off, but we just were like fighting the cause, even at like 9 years old, just saying, look, we want to play.
Exactly.
And the only time we really got to play in school, especially like in primary school, was during break time, where the lads, we were one of them. They thought it was cool that the girls wanted to play with them, and that was the only real opportunity that we got at that age. Things got better in secondary school, but we were still always trying to get the girls to come, and there was always a bit of a fight that we had to put up to play, and always fighting for women's sport at school.
No, it's brilliant. And like you say, that's then what has led to nowadays having those opportunities and those chances. So that's something that I'm sure you're very proud of, but I think that it's very important. So like even having the conversation about it, having the podcast about it, having the fact that then younger kids who are in that position nowadays, they can see now that they have those chances to play, which is the most important thing. Because if you don't want to play, and if you want to play netball, great, have the chance to play netball. But if you want to play football, you should have the chance to play.
I just think, like at that age, it was always the same sports. And we're just like, just want to be given the chance to play within a PE lesson, you know. And I'm glad things have changed now for the younger girls coming up, that they do have that chance, and if they want to pursue it now as a career, because when I was a kid it wasn't a professional game, and now those girls now can think about potentially being in the WSL or going abroad to big leagues, which is great to see.
Definitely.
So your goalkeeper gloves I got the same ones as you a couple of years ago.
Nice.
Because I was looking for gloves, I was like, I didn't really have, some nice gloves. My old ones kind of had it, and your gloves, I got those, and I've still got them. I'm still using them, and they're for me. I think they are the best. They're very comfortable and they keep me warm, especially in the cold weather. But I'd like to thank you on that.
No, I'm glad. I'm really glad to hear that you like them, because I was the same. I think when I first tried them, I was really impressed by like the quality, like you say, the designs are always cool, but the quality of the grip, and that they were very durable. And then also kind of looking at the price of the Calio gloves, I think that's always been something that I still remember as a kid, kind of begging my mum and dad to get a new pair of gloves, and they'd almost balk at the prices of like the Adidas gloves or the Reusch gloves, and that was 10-15 years ago. And you think the price nowadays of those big brands, it is unbelievable how much goalkeeper gloves are starting to cost. So the fact that the Calio gloves have kind of stayed at the cheaper end and maintained that they try and be as affordable as possible, whilst also being, in my opinion, as good as, if not better than those top gloves. I think that's something that is really important, and something that I've kind of loved about that brand. So I always love it when people say that they've tried it and that they enjoy it, because I'm the same. I just really like the gloves.
Yeah, I agree. They're really affordable as well, and they last a good deal of time as well before you have to move on to the next pair. But I really recommend everybody to at least get a pair of them. They're great. Yeah,
they are. And I mean, the guys that run them as well, Kenny and Greg, they're great people. And I did a video a couple of months ago where I went up to Scotland to see them. Yeah, and we were chatting about the gloves, and they were telling us how they design them. They're really interactive on social media if anyone ever has questions about the gloves or anything to ask, and they're very personable people, and I kind of love the fact that you can see the people behind the brand, and they're from the UK and they were goalkeepers themselves, and all those things I find kind of really important, rather than just a big faceless brand. So it's a really good company and good people and really good gloves, which is the most important thing.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting to see how far technology with gloves has come. I mean, I'm a bit of a goalkeeper nerd. I'm always on goalkeeper glove websites, looking at the latest releases and stuff. But just to see how far they've come. I remember my first pair. I mean, I think me and my sister shared them at the time. And it was like, the rubber bits on them. They were so basic. They were so basic.
Yeah.
But back then, just to get my first goalkeeper gloves was like, yay, this is amazing. Just to see the technology and how far the glove technology has moved on is, I think it's really, really great.
I remember the same, like playing in my grandparents' garden and having like the knitted ones with like the kind of the like you say, the rubber.
The rubber.
the fingers and the thumb and a little bit on the palm. And as a kid, those were the best. Like they made you enjoy playing with them. And the same when I got a kind of a proper pair, but a pair with latex, but I'd play until there were holes in the fingers and my fingers were coming through. And like you say, I think the advancement of the technology is amazing, but that kind of love for just the glove and how it changes and how it fits you is something that I think sticks with you from knitted gloves through to proper gloves when you're older. But
I think when you get like your first pair of latex gloves, you really feel the business, don't you? Especially when you've grown up with like, I've still got some of my older gloves, just kept them, a bit like you collected yours. And mine have got like, I've got some old Adidas ones from like years ago, and they're all worn out and holes in them. But
look like the dogs.
You just keep them, don't you?
Exactly.
So growing up, who was your like idol in goalkeeping? Who was like the person you wanted to be like?
Like the first one that I remember is a bit of a strange one actually, but I'm from a big Man United family. Like I'm a Man United fan. I grew up watching Man United because my dad and my granddad were big Man United fans. And I remember when Tim Howard was playing for Man United, and people probably don't reflect on it as the best part of his career, but it's something that I don't know why. I was quite young. I think it was 2003. I was probably 7 or 8. I just loved Tim Howard for some strange reason. I just thought he was amazing. And so much so that I think at the time he was competing with Roy Carroll for the #1 place for United. And I hated Roy Carroll because if Roy Carroll was playing, Tim Howard wasn't. And it was such a strange thing. But I don't know why I loved him. I just did. And I remember him being like the first person that I really, really loved watching in goal. And then since then, obviously, I've enjoyed watching loads of different keepers. But that's the first one that I remember having a big kind of love for.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a few really. I mean, there's Czech for Chelsea days. I mean, and then I liked Pepe Reina at one point. I thought he was doing well. Yeah, there's been so many. I mean, even like Ben Foster. I mean, great guy. I love watching his stuff as well. But yeah.
And I think you can always pick up things from different keepers. I think when you're growing up, there's always things that you love. So as I got a bit older, as I was probably kind of getting into my teens, I loved watching Joe Hart, even though I was a Man United fan. I loved watching him at City. I loved initially when he was on loan at Birmingham, just like the way he played, like his kind of passion for the game, his intensity. I loved his personality, and I still love watching him. And like you say, loads of different ones. Then even the people that played abroad, like Neuer or Casillas or Ter Stegen, all these different keepers. But in terms of ones at home, I really enjoyed watching Joe Hart when he was playing when I was a little bit older as well.
Yeah, I think Shay Given was another one from there. He was good as well. So who right now, like who are you looking at right now that you're like, oh, they're really good, or who's in the league right now?
I love Ter Stegen. I love watching Ter Stegen at Barcelona. I love his calmness. I love his ability with both feet when he plays with the ball, and I love his persona. And then I've enjoyed. I mean, I watch more of the Premier League, obviously, but I've enjoyed the different keepers that have come into the Premier League. I love watching Ramsdale now. He's at Arsenal. I really enjoy how he's kind of embraced being at a big club, and how his performances have kind of silenced all the people that doubted him and said it was a poor signing. And then, like you say, still people like Ben Foster and Joe Hart who are playing, who are a bit older. I love watching them as well. And I always find that I can pick up little things from whichever keepers are playing. But yeah, I think my favourite to watch is probably Ter Stegen, but there are lots of others that I enjoy watching as well.
Yeah, me too. There's so many. I like a lot from the women's game as well.
Yeah.
I was talking to Carly Telford yesterday. big hero
Wow.
of mine. She's just gone off to America. But yeah, there's a lot in England now with like Ellie Roebuck and Hannah Hampton and Mary Earps. There's a lot of young talent within the game as well. So
because I've watched quite a bit of Mary Earps, because obviously playing at United and and seeing the games that she's been playing. But I love watching like you say, the younger ones that have come into the England side, especially in recent years, because I mean, obviously Carly Telford was at such a high level for such a long time, and you kind of got very used to the 2 or 3 senior England goalkeepers over the past 5 to 10 years. But now it seems that recently, in the last couple of years, that there've been 3, 4, 5 who are starting to pop up and get into the squad, and you can see them from the different clubs. And that's been something that I've been really interested in, to see how the development has been for the younger generation of England goalkeepers coming through. But yeah, I've enjoyed watching Mary Earps, obviously because of United as well. But it's good to see how well they're all doing.
Yeah, they're having a good season, Man United. And Mary Earps has really impressed me. Kept a lot of clean sheets. Yeah, she's done really well. Yeah, and
again, with her kind of I think her character, as well as her technical ability, I think it's been interesting to see her character as a goalkeeper, because I think that's something when I watch her that always stands out to me.
Oh yeah, you always see her, like, she's very passionate.
Yeah, she is.
I know she's had disappointment with England. Now she's back as like the number 1 lately under the new manager, and it's good to see that she's in a really good place right now in the football. So,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So going into the game, like, I've got some games coming up. Do you still get those nervous feelings before you go out? What advice would you have for me, for, like, pre-match?
I think you always do, and I think it's good. And the way that I have kind of learned to deal with it the last couple of years has been just the way that I frame it in my head. So instead of, when I feel it, talking to myself and saying, oh, I'm a little bit nervous, like I can feel the nerves, I just do a really little shift. And instead of calling it nerves or nervousness, I just call it excitement. So the way that I talk to myself is, oh, I feel excited. I can feel excited. Because biologically, the feeling of excitement and nerves is exactly the same, that feeling in your stomach. But by having that inner voice being excited instead of nervous, you have all the positive connotations of being excited for something. You're looking forward to it. You know that it's something you're going to enjoy. So the feeling's the same, but in your head, just framing it as, oh, I'm excited. And exactly the same for anyone that asks you. If someone says, oh, are you nervous, or how are you feeling? I just go, yeah, I'm excited. I'm really looking forward to it. And I know that I've still got the feeling, but I just frame it in a, like, oh, I'm feeling really positive about it. And that's something which is quite a small thing, but something that I've found that can really help. So yeah, that's something which I would always recommend when people are dealing with those feelings.
So what's been your most, like, favourite save that you've ever done? Like, there's always one in your head that you're like, oh, I like that one.
Yeah, it's hard because, I mean, it's it's probably like asking a parent who their favorite child is. Like, we all like all our saves, but there was one last year where I made quite a weird save with my foot.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah, that was good.
That was more like, I think because it was so bizarre and so odd, and I know that I'll probably never do it again. That's something that I've quite enjoyed, because someone had a shot and I was moving one way and someone kind of flicked it with their head the other way, and I kind of just stuck my leg out and managed to deflect it round the post. And technically, that you can't really learn it. It's not something you can train or practice. But that sticks in my head because it was such a weird one. But then, like, ones where I've been really pleased from, like, a technical point of view aren't always the most spectacular, but just I get a bit of satisfaction when I've had, like, good positioning, or my footwork's been good, or I hit with a really good 1v1 technique or something like that. Like, those ones are often our favorites, even if they don't look like the best camera saves.
Yeah. What's been your most memorable moment in like your career so far?
Oh, Um, I think when, that's a good question actually. There's been a couple, like when I went to against Real Madrid, that was really cool. Even though I wasn't playing, just being involved in that was amazing. When I was playing, I think when we won the league, that was really fun. Just the fact, I think that was the first proper like league title that I'd won in adult football, and that's always exciting to do. And then, yeah, I'm not sure. There's been a few like where I've played against bigger teams or in nice stadiums or things like that. But yeah, probably the big moments are the ones that I get to kind of share if my family are there or like my girlfriend's there or we managed to achieve something, because that always seems like the pinnacle of a lot of work. But I always enjoy that process of working towards something just as much as actually the moment when it happens or doesn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, the league win with Piteå in 2020 must have been really great fun. We saw the celebrations on your videos.
Yeah.
Did you got goalkeeper of the year that year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an amazing one. And I think just as a period of 2-3 months, because it was so intense, like every game we seemed to keep a clean sheet. It was just one of those like moments where everything seems to be going right. You like every time I'm touched something, it would kind of come off the bar and go out instead of come off the bar and go in. Like all the little things were going my way. So it felt like a really, and when, as we know as goalkeepers, it can change pretty quickly to when everything doesn't go your way. So you just have to really enjoy it when you're in one of those moments. So the fact that we could kind of finish that off with a league win and promotion, and like you say, getting kind of individual awards, that's a nice period of time that I look back on and go, yeah, that was really enjoyable, because obviously everything was going well, but it was a really nice thing to share with the team and to enjoy.
So you're in pre-season at the moment. You're like third season with Piteå. Mm-hmm. You must be looking forward to the season starting. So what are your feelings going into this new season?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think last season as a newly promoted team, I think a lot of people kind of wrote us off that we'd get relegated, and we managed to finish in the top half of the league, and I think outperformed what a lot of people expected of us. But then I think that means this year we have the pressure to try and do better than that again. So that's something that I'm looking forward to. And on a personal level, now that I've had 1 year's experience of the league and felt like I performed well, this year again, I want to kick on and try and be seen as the best goalkeeper in the league and really show what I can do. So hopefully if those two things can combine, that we can keep improving as a team, I can keep improving individually, then fingers crossed it'll be an enjoyable season and a successful one. But as always, we know with a season it's long, there's lots of ups, there's lots of downs, and we just have to keep riding the wave through it. But yeah, we've got pre-season until our first league game is the beginning of April. So making sure that we build up and get ready for that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It'll be good fun.
Yeah, and we'll be watching your videos and yeah, always supporting you and hoping that you do well.
I appreciate it. It's amazing to see people who like buy in and want to see how we're doing and supporting and things like that, which is always amazing to me, that people take that interest. So that's always very cool.
Yeah, and last season, like you said, I mean, PC came 8th, wasn't it, in the end? I mean, I think you did exceed a lot of people's expectations of the team, and you did really well. And yeah, hopefully you'll have another good season this time round.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully. And then if things go well, you want to be competing at that top end and trying to do something like successful, because obviously I think for what we were at the time, mid-table was brilliant and better than what we'd expected. But at the same time, it doesn't have that kind of excitement at the end of the season when you're just kind of in the middle places. So it'd be cool if we can try and kick on and really be at the end of the year trying to push on and be up at the top end. But yeah, whatever happens, it'll be good fun.
Yeah. The final question. So if you had any advice for younger viewers that are watching, people that want to you know, get into goalkeeping, what advice would you have for them?
The most important thing is to enjoy playing in goal. Enjoy it, because there's a lot to it that people can find which is negative. So you're going to have to deal with some negativity, but if you can have that love of playing in goal, that should outshine everything, and that's always the most important thing. After that, the main thing is just to try and get a little bit better at something every day. You don't have to make loads of huge improvements all the time, but just 1% here and there. Can I maybe have a few extra crosses after training, or can I practice maybe a couple of my weak foot passes, or maybe I'm going to watch a game this weekend and just watch the goalkeeper and see what he does. Just tiny little things, and over a period of time they will add up, and you'll see yourself getting better and better and better, and that's always a great feeling. But yeah, there's hopefully with the videos I can try and share a lot of advice and things that I learn and things that can help people, but those are the most important things for me, just enjoying it and trying to find little things to improve on all the time.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Conor, and best of luck with the season and the Keeping Goals series that we're all tuning in to. But yeah, thanks so much for coming on today.
No problem. Thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed it.
Oh, thanks, Conor. Take care.
Thank you. See you later.